People, deluded, I'm back again. It's turning to be an eventful day, or better yet, it's turning out to be an eventful day for Arsenal. We've been linked with Ivan Toney, linked with Kingsley Coleman. Whether we sign these players is another thing, and I think with it, being just over 24 hours into the end of the deadline day or the end of the transfer window and it being deadline day, I don't think many Arsenal fans, quite frankly, care about being linked. Need to get some players through the door. We've now been linked with Raheem Sterling, or once again been linked with Raheem Sterling. We've obviously had the draw for the Champions League in its new format. We don't know when these fixtures will take place. Obviously, we know the dates, they're scheduled, but in terms of when we play who, we don't know yet. Nonetheless, we'll go over that. If you allow me to share my screen, we'll get into everything, people. As usual, smash the like button. Don't forget to comment and subscribe if you haven't. Now, allegedly, Sammy Montbell has said Arsenal have also been offered Raheem Sterling in recent days amid his well-documented situation at Chelsea. It remains to be seen if Arsenal activate a move for Sterling during the closing hours of the window, but the option is there. Any deal for the Chelsea star would appear a tall order given the forward's reported 325,000 per week wages. But if an agreement can be reached between Chelsea and Sterling over the money he's owed, then Arsenal may yet move. If I'm Sterling and you let that money go, I know you've been paid a lot. You hate it because you've at least got 3 years left. No one put a gun to the head for you to get that contract. You deserve it, people. Team News and Ticks has said Arsenal have been offered Raheem Sterling, but by the players' reps, and he'd be willing to take a significant pay cut to join the club. Arsenal said a salary they would be willing to offer, which Sterling has accepted. Which, again, if you can get your money from Chelsea, you stay in London, you work under Mikel Arteta, fair play. In terms of Raheem Sterling, for me personally, if it's the Raheem Sterling of the YouTube highlights or the one at Liverpool or the one for the majority of his City career, great. The Chelsea one is a shadow of his former self. But at 29, he has got a proven bit of experience. He's had to deal with a lot of shenanigans off the field, with how he's been painted in the media. He's been that young player, that 16, 17-year-old, still performing at 29 or playing at a top club at Chelsea in the Premier League. So there's a lot of things he can teach. And obviously, we aspire to be Premier League winners. He's done that a couple of times. Now, where you're at with Raheem Sterling is, what sort of fee would Chelsea want? What sort of wages would he want? And will he deliver? At 29 years of age, it has to be now or never. And I wouldn't mind that, as much as we've got the youthful project to have Merino, who's 28, Jorginho, Trossard, Sterling, Partey, players that are here for now and want to win now. I'm all for that, really and truly. And beggars can't be choosers. I prefer a loan, but who knows? And Arsenal bought a couple of players from Chelsea before, of more recent, Kai Havertz and Jorginho. So who knows? I mean, the options are running out. Arsenal have shown they're prepared to sit on their hands, with the teams we've got in the Champions League, with the Premier League, and getting one over on City. Personally, I think it would be a very big disappointment if we don't sign an attacker, especially because of the language that came out of the club, to be excited and all of these things. Whether you're going for Raheem Sterling and players that got a foot out the door, we're not going to sign Vinicius and Rodrigo, but them kind of blockbuster signings or the young, unproven, raw gems. Make it happen. We've been knowing we need an attacker. You've had it over a year to assess this. Mikel Arteta said we've got one of the finished squads. Obviously, he said in March and April we have meetings. You knew going into the summer there's Copa America, there's the Euros. So while these are all factors, and I have some sort of sympathy, it's a results-driven business. Are you going to get the players or not? We can't bring profit off the bench if we need someone to deputise for Bukayo Saka. Nor can we say we tried. I don't really care if you tried to get Nico Williams. Of course, I'm empathetic and sympathetic, but it's a results-driven game. We tried to win the league, doesn't mean we celebrated anything in May. Apparently, Alex Crook of TalkSport said, as it stands, Raheem Sterling is more likely to stay at Chelsea than leave on deadline day, which for Sterling, you're not going to get any football. For Chelsea, you've got a big money player that isn't playing, that the managers come out publicly and said they're not trying to play him. So it's a big L. And again, he's been linked with Aston Villa, Manchester United, and like clockwork, Arsenal, probably owing to the sense of he plays in a position we need reinforcements and his history with Mikel Arteta. We've also been linked with Kingsley Coleman, which shows we're running out of options. Arsenal are weighing up moves for Chelsea's Raheem Sterling or Bayern Munich's Kingsley Coleman, having been approached about both in the final days of the transfer window. Approached by who? The reps. So that tells you that their agents are doing the right jobs and trying to get these players out of their situations. I don't know who I would prefer out of Raheem Sterling and Kingsley Coleman. I think Kingsley Coleman is a lot more excitable to watch, but he does have the injury issues. Sterling's obviously Premier League proven, worked under Mikel Arteta before. So I'm not quite sure there, people. Sterling, who has been told he will not play under new manager Enzo Maresca, would be keen on a move, but any deal would require Chelsea settling part of his contract and wages. Rightly so. Mikel Arteta wants an explosive player to give Arsenal more options in attack, but the top target of Nico Williams wants to stay in Spain to achieve his long-term ambition of eventually joining Barcelona. I mean, Raheem Sterling doing the business on the left, to have the luxury of potentially, Martinelli and Trossard, to have Saka on the right, Kai Havertz doing his thing, and by God's grace, a fit Gabriel Jesus. I don't think it's amazing, but it could do a lot worse. The London club are consequently only willing to go for one of their secondary options on a much lower budget in the mode of the Leandro Trossard signing. The primary concern to have a player that can ease the burden on Bukayo Saka. Raheem Sterling on the right-hand side is horrible to watch, if I must say. I prefer him on the left. And Arteta is acutely conscious of overplaying his start in a packed calendar and a schedule that is going to see a game every 3 days once this international break is over. Again, more games in the Champions League. Everyone's got 2 games minimum. If you don't qualify in 1st to 8th place, you have a playoff round. So that's 3 games. Condensed Premier League. The start of January, unlike the old format, the Champions League, you're done by the end of the year and it's off until February. Forgive me if I'm wrong. This runs into January. The FA Cup's going to come into play. January is already a condensed period or the December period or the winter period is already condensed where the Premier League is concerned. We've got a small squad. The averages don't look good, people. The players that are fit are going to be ran into the red zone. Boy, Arteta and Edu knew this, so my sympathy is kind of capped for anyone that isn't an Arsenal fan. Mikel, I rate you. Edu, I rate you in how you've assembled the squad, so you have to take the blame if things go left. And it's results-driven business. To be panicking on deadline day, or at least to our fans, it's unacceptable. I hear the striker stuff, but not to have another attacker to go with Calafiori and Merino. Boy, it is what it is. Again, we know Mikel Arteta and obviously Sterling have worked together before. Although there have been questions over whether the 29-year-old can be as explosive as he used to be, Arteta likes his personality and feels he can be a good influence on the squad, especially with his winning record. Sterling also has an understanding of Arsenal's tactical approach, given its similarities to City. The club are unwilling to pay a fee for Sterling. Boy, so we're trying to get him for free, though, which is why any deal could be complicated and require the player to settle his contract issues with Chelsea. He's understood to be on 325 grand a week at Stamford Bridge, and Arsenal would be unwilling to go above 150k. Sterling would have to accept fitting into their wage structure, rightly so. Man United have similarly been in talks with Chelsea over Sterling, and apparently Dan Ashworth is a big admirer, but that's described as a long shot. We have heard Sterling and Sancho potential swap deal. Coleman, meanwhile, has been offered around the majority of European clubs for weeks as Bayern Munich attempt to trim their wage bill. Arsenal have been weighing up a deal, but there's a feeling that the market could open up in the final hours due to a number of big clubs who want to sell. There's a belief that this could bring bargains that would not have been possible even a few weeks ago. I hope that is the case, people. Once again, Sterling and also Ben Chilwell have been told they will not get minutes if they stay at Chelsea, so they're throwing the gauntlet down. We've had our Champions League draw. We've been drawn against Paris Saint-Germain, Inter, Shakhtar, Atalanta, Dynamo Zagreb, Sporting Lisbon, Monaco, and Girona of Spain, folks, people, which sees our initial games. We're playing PSG at home, Inter Milan away, Shakhtar the next at home, Atalanta away, Dynamo Zagreb at home, Sporting Lisbon away, AS Monaco at home, Girona away. So now the first thing that grabs my attention is the 2 trips to Italy. Atalanta, very exciting team. Gasperini does the business. They've won the Europa League. We're going to have to stand up to be counted. I remember, I'm only 29. I remember when Thierry Henry and all of them turned up at San Siro and did a madness. Hopefully that's the same. Shakhtar the next, I expect to beat them. Welcome back to Arsenal, Balogun at the Emirates, but I hope he's absolutely pocketed by Saliba and Gabriel. A trip to Sporting and in Portugal. The last time we went to Portugal, the last 2 times we've been away to Portugal, it hasn't been kind to us in the Europa and the Champs. So hopefully 3rd time lucky. You've got Mr. Gyökeres, who's probably going to be given a platform to show why he's scoring all these goals and people want them. So yeah, man, it's the Champions League. Spain, obviously Girona. You've got to be careful. For me in the Champs, I always look at the away leg. So we're going to have to see what's going on. Apparently, UEFA are planning to release fixture dates on Saturday. So dates of games will be known then. Arsenal in theory could also start with Dynamo at home in between Spurs and City. Order of games doesn't have to be how they came out in the draw. But hey, so this is why we need a big squad, really, because there's going to need to be rotations either side of those 3 games. You'd imagine, well, Dynamo's in the Champions League and you want to win and qualify as quickly as you can. But you'd imagine if there's an opportunity to rest players, it is the Dynamo game. So we need a big squad. And we've already got some injury concerns, people. I've covered this in a previous vid, check it out. But apparently Arsenal have held talks with Ivan Toney's agents, CAS Stella, earlier today. The Englishman is open to join the Gunners, and Arsenal is seriously considering a £50 million bid. Do we really see ourselves spending 50 million on Ivan Toney, who's been available all summer, and then getting a deal done for Sterling or Kingsley Coleman or whoever? I don't have a clue. But let me know your thoughts on Ivan Toney, Raheem Sterling, and also the teams and the Champions League format. On that note, any emerging news, I'll get videos out for you lot, as I have done today between the live streams. You lot take care, stay blessed, drop a comment, smash the like button. Peace.